Hello dear children, welcome to another wonderful session of Amazing World of Science where we learn NCERT line to line, classes 8 to 12. Mostly we are focusing on class 10 and class 12. Along with that we are also doing a line to line chapter wise from classes 8 to 8, 9, 11 as well. So, already we are doing class 9 science and we were continuing in our last class how to separate mixtures. That is, we already learnt about suspension, colloidal solutions and all that in our previous sessions, and in our last class we were learning about different methods of separation from a separation of components from a mixture. So, we learned a few methods and today we have to continue from how can we separate a mixture of salt and ammonium chloride. Okay. So, already we learned in the first chapter that ammonium chloride has a property to change directly from solid to gas on heating. So, when you come to separate such mixtures which contain sublimable volatile component, that is, it changes from solid to gas directly, as well as it is very easily vaporizable also. When you separate such a substance from a non-sublimable impurity, here we have got salt, then that is sublimation process is what we are going to do in this case. So, examples of solids which sublime are ammonium chloride, camphor, naphthalene, anthracene. See, for your exams they might ask like what method you use to separate components of naphthalene and anthracene. So, just remember that this is the method we use. So, here you can see how the process is done, and what you have got to do is see, here we are having a funnel, okay, and inverted, it is kept inverted and closed with a cotton plug. And here what we are going to do is you take some ammonium chloride and a mixture of ammonium chloride and salt. When you heat it, that is, we have got a china dish here, okay. You can see that the solidified ammonium chloride, first it changes, ammonium chloride changes into vapor and it solidifies on the sides of the china funnel, and you can separate it easily. Now, is the dye in black ink, it is a single color or not? So, what you have got to do is you take a thin strip of filter paper, then draw a line with a pencil just 3 centimeter above the lower edge. What you have got to do is you put a drop of ink, that is water soluble. You can put it from a fountain or fountain pen or sketch pen at the center of the line. Keep it for some time so that it dries. Now, what you have got to do is you lower that filter paper into a test tube which contains water, so that the drop of the ink is just above the water level. You leave it undisturbed for some time. You watch carefully, after some time water rises up on the filter paper, okay. Now, what can you see after this process? What happens to the filter paper? Do you get different colors on the filter paper? Then what is the reason for the rise of the colored spot on the paper strip? Okay. So, when you use ink, it has water as a solvent and dye is soluble in the water. So, when the water rises up on the filter paper, it takes along dye particles also. So, dye is a mixture of 2 or more colors of which the colored component is more soluble in water. That colored component will rise up fast, and in this way the colors will get separated, okay. So, here just remember that the colored component is more soluble in water and it will rise faster. In that way you can separate the colors easily. So, what is this process called? Separation of components, that is known as chromatography. Chroma means color. So, firstly this technique was used to separate colors. So, that is why the name is given. So, chromatography is the technique used to separate solutes which dissolve in the same solvent. The different solute will dissolve in the same solvent. So, that is the principle. So, I hope by now you know what is meant by solute, solvent and all that. Already we have discussed it in many of our sessions before, and now newer technology of chromatography are getting developed. So, in higher classes we will study this in details. What are the applications of this method? To separate colors in a dye, then pigments from natural colors, drugs from blood and all that. Now next we will learn how you will separate a mixture of two miscible liquids like acetone and water. You take the mixture in a distilled flask. You can see the distilled flask here, see, and fit it with a thermometer. You arrange the apparatus like this, clamp, this is the distillation flask, close it with a cork, and then here see you can see this thermometer being inserted in it. Then we take mixture of acetone and water here, and here we have got a beaker, water condenser is here, then the water outlet, circulating water to cool the vapors when it is heated. Then what happens is that you keep watching the temperature at the thermometer, then the acetone will vaporize, it condenses, and it comes down and it can be collected over here, and water is left behind in the distillation flask itself. So this is the method to separate two miscible liquids. Okay, so what do you observe as you start heating the mixture, and what temperature does the thermometer reading becomes constant for some time, and what is the boiling point of acetone, why you separate the two components here. So first of all we can learn that this next method is called distillation. What is distillation used for? Separation of components containing two miscible liquids that boil without decomposition. Decomposition means splitting up, and they have sufficient difference in their boiling point. See, if there is no difference in boiling point, both the components will simultaneously at the same time they will boil. Okay, so it is difficult to separate, but when the boiling point have got a sufficient gap, after one substance gets vaporized, only then the next one will boil. Okay, so now to separate a mixture of two or more miscible liquids, then minimum difference in the boiling point should be around 225 Kelvin. So for this fractional distillation process is used, that is to separate different gases from air like petroleum products and all that. It is an important process. Simple fractionating column, you can see it's a you can see it here. You have got a tube packed with glass beads. So the beads will provide the surface for vapors to cool and condense fast. Okay, this is the distillation flask and this is the fractionating column and water outlet. So one by one it can be whatever components are here can be separated using fractional distillation. All this you might have learnt in lower classes as well. Now next class we will learn how to obtain different gases from air. Then finally we have got only physical chemical changes and what are the types of pure substance and what is meant by compounds, and in the next 1 or 2 sessions then this chapter is coming to an end, and this is really very important chapter and which is coming from chemistry. So you have to learn this really seriously, understanding all the concepts. So those who have not subscribed to our channel, kindly do like, share and subscribe to our channel Amazing World of Science, because your support is our strength, and I am very happy to see that many students are visiting our channel, but please do not leave the channel without subscribing, and we will be uploading more such important NCERT line to line chapter wise videos frequently. So do keep watching the channel for new videos, and till then thanks for watching. We will be coming soon with another new video. Thank you.